Hello, Internet, and welcome to the Free-to-Play Cast, episode 132, brought to you by MMOBomb.com, your home for all things free-to-play related. I'm your host, Mike Byrne, a.k.a. magicman, as I am every week. And if you're not stopping by the site to check out the giveaways, comment, and read Jason's amazing editorials as well as the news, then you're just doing the free-to-play world wrong, but that's okay. Because we're here to give you all the news of the week, share our opinions, maybe have a few laughs along the way, no promises. But joining me, as he always does, in lovely full frame, because Skype's a bitch, Jason Winter. How are you, sir?
You like my articles more than I do.
I enjoy your articles. I enjoy reading your articles because I get to read them before they actually get published. And so I feel like I have an inside track.
That's the only reason, because I'm giving you something a little special on the side.
Whoa, excuse me? What? And also with us, a surprise guest. If you've watched the Free-to-Play Cast for years now, you know this gentleman. You know him as Selfius. Chris Ebert, how are you, sir?
Oh, Mike, thank you for having me back, brother. I'm completely excited. It's great to meet Jason, and I'm ready to rock and roll, man. I'm really happy to be back.
So Skype does this weird thing, and if any of you know how to fix this, put it in the freaking comments for me. If I have just one guest on, widescreen is no problem, but if I have two, Skype will not, no matter what their camera settings are, will not give them to me in widescreen. But we didn't want to delay the show because we've got a lot to talk about. Selfius, you wanted to come back pretty much from day one. I emailed you and said, hey, I'm back at MMO Bomb. You're like, oh, shit, yeah, let's do the cast. And then your computer crapped out, didn't it?
Yeah, that's what happens when you're running two video cards in SLI. When one goes, they pretty much both go. So, you know, I had to do a little bit of console gaming. I know that's a little taboo. Yeah, I know. I was expecting that response, and I plan on getting slammed, I'm sure, through the comments. But here I am. I got it up and running again, and hopefully I can contribute and enjoy myself like I did before. I look forward to reading the comments and enjoying myself.
Oh, I'm glad you got it up and you're going to enjoy yourself. Let's go to the news. That was a nice segue. Alright, gang, so the big news, I guess, in the free-to-play MMO front in the last week was, of course, Skyforge, My.com's publishing it, developed by the Alids team and Obsidian Entertainment. It is now officially moving into its closed betas. The first one actually ends tomorrow. We're recording this on Tuesday the 17th. Closed beta 1 ends tomorrow the 18th. We've played it, we've streamed it, we've watched videos on it, we're Skyforged out at this point. It's been all Skyforge data download. So, in the first looks, we don't give too many opinions, maybe an opinion about a feature here and there. We really don't, like, lambaste a game, although some of them really freaking deserve it. And we don't really praise a game too much besides to say that I like this feature, I don't like this one. That's fine. The free-to-play cast is where the opinions happen, so let me just put up some B-roll. We'll watch some Skyforge. And I do want to take this in order here, you know, kind of, we'll break it into little sections, but I've played quite a bit of the game. I did the first look video, I streamed it again yesterday, the stream went long because we were playing it. Jason, we got you a pack, you're playing it, you checked it out this weekend. Did you end up streaming this weekend?
Yeah, I did. I streamed Friday night on my personal.
What class did you play primarily?
I played a gunner.
Okay. So we're going to have some different perspectives here because you took gunner. I started with melee and then decided that wasn't for me, but so I primarily played cryomancer. Selfius, have you gotten a chance to get hands-on the game, or is it still the research mode? I don't know if you bought a founder's pack or anything for this one.
No, sir. It was all research mode. I went on. I checked out the comments we had on MMO Bomb for the people that had the first look, and then I just got to, you know, peruse over it, and I was checking out other things, and it doesn't look too bad. I'm curious as to hear what you guys have to say. You know, I just have to go whatever you gave off for the video. So.
All right, so then some of these topics you may not, because we'll be talking about very particular things in-game and hands-on time, but a lot of these topics you can give us your opinions from all the videos and research you've watched too. So let's start with, I think let's start at the beginning. Graphics and kind of how the game performed. because this was kind of a stress test from my.com's point of view and from the Alice team point of view. They limited content in certain areas. One, probably because some of that may not be ready. Two, because they want to not have anybody beat the damn game, because MMO players are crazy. And three, of course, I'm sure there was some validity to some type of stress testing going on, trying to keep people isolated to particular areas and seeing how the systems performed. As far as the systems, once it got up and running, there was a bit of a delay in launch day, particularly on the North American servers. The EU servers had the same delay, but they were resolved first. So kudos, because our EU brothers and sisters never get their stuff resolved first, so I'm happy for them on this front. And then finally the North American server. So there were some hours of delay and not being able to log in and everything. But once it was up and running, I didn't disconnect. I didn't have severe lag issues. Occasionally a lag spike here and there. I'm on the East Coast. The NA server is on the West Coast, so that's to be expected. But performance-wise, the only thing that really, really, really bugged the hell out of me, and I hope it's something that they fix a little bit, is I had to edit the hell out of the loading screens in the first look. Not because the loading screen was 10 seconds or 15 seconds, like some people had commented, but because I was getting loading screens at times that were upwards of 2 minutes. So really, performance-wise, that's my only gripe. What about on your end, Jason?
I don't remember anything that long. Yeah, there were some loading screens, but they were like, 15, 20 seconds or so, it seemed like at most. I suppose I should go back and look at the stream. So I remember you mentioning that to me when you were talking about it last week, and I was really kind of looking out for it when I played on Friday, and I didn't notice anything on that level. I thought the performance was pretty good, looked nice, just felt like a polished enough game.
Now, when I think about it, though, now that you bring that up, I was recording the first look pretty much. I started getting all of my information and footage together the day I was able to get in there. And that's when I had to edit out those loading screens. Now when I think back last night when I streamed this on Bomb Live on Monday evening, the loading screens really weren't too much of a problem now that I think about it. So maybe that just had to do with the things getting up and running.
Oh my God, they fixed something in beta.
Oh, get the hell out of here. Why would they do that? Graphically, what did you think, Selfius? Where does this fit on the free-to-play graphic front?
It popped. It looked nice. It wasn't bad. I didn't see a lot of cut and paste from what I saw just from the video. I don't want to divulge too much into it because I only got to see what you got to play, and like you said, there's only certain areas that you guys were sort of walled in, so you don't get to see, I guess, the grand view of the scheme of what the overall. But I mean, I didn't see too much clipping or anything crazy. It looked fun. I'm hoping to get a hold of a key or something to be able to test it out.
What about you, Mr. Winter?
Yeah, I can actually remember when I first got off the ship, when you talked to the first goddess lady, right after you get off the ship. I then turned back and looked back at the ship, and I just was struck by actually how nicely detailed and how really attractive it looked. It looked very nice without looking overly stylized, I guess, or just like it didn't look like they worked too hard to make it look pretty. That's how I always felt about Ion. That's a game that just always looked too pretty to me. Whereas this one looked nice, but it didn't feel like it was overdone.
Yeah, and I kind of expressed the same thing during the first look. It's obviously not top-tier graphics, but it's up there. It's not the bottom of the barrel, and it's certainly not graphics that we're used to seeing in a lot of free-to-play games. Yes, there are some really, really nice-looking ones out there, and then there's some that do it adequately, and they do the job. I kind of put these above average, but not top-tier. Pleasing to look at, some cool things if you catch the camera right and you're looking at some certain areas, but you're not going to walk away going, that game is graphically stunning. And I think that's perfect for what this game's trying to be. I think they really nailed the visual appeal of the world they're trying to build. I don't know if that's a good way to put it, but
maybe went a little overboard with the jiggle physics, though.
Yes. Yeah, unfortunately, in the first look, there's no character creation because once you create a character, that's it. You just, when you boot up the game, it logs into that character. There is no selecting other characters because you're able to switch classes automatically, and then the style room gives you all those options later to customize what your outfit is and what your gear looks like and all that fun stuff. So there was no character. I just rolled up a character, got in, started making sure I had all my settings right to record something, went back, and then went, well, I guess I got to delete this character if I want to show character creation. And quite honestly, character creation was nothing to look at, so I didn't bother showing it. It was a few presets, and then you take those presets and use some sliders. And yeah, the jiggle physics on the boob slider, good grief. Good grief. What about the gameplay as a whole? Selfius, it's very similar. You and I used to play Phantasy Star Online all the time. On the Dreamcast, and it's very similar to that type of style where you're off hub on the planet, in a hub off planet. You warp down to a particular point in the planet, and that area may be small or it may be very, very large, and you can explore. But ultimately, you are confined to a particular area. Now, where it differs from Phantasy Star Online is that there's other people in that area too, whether they're part of your party or not. Phantasy Star, you warp down in your group, and your group was the only group there. Here, it does have aspects of an open world, like we see other people. But how do you feel about that type of gameplay now in 2015, when we played that type of style, what, 10 years ago, 12 years ago now?
As probably more than 12 years ago. It has its place, and I would love to play the game to get a feel for it. Right now, I think a lot of people are looking for that open world sandbox. If I can see it, I can run to it type thing. But when you sort of get bordered in to a zone, then some people might not like that. But the fact that they have the inclusion of other people that are in that area along with you, unlike where on PSO you were just, your party was your party and that was it.
What about you, Mr. Winter?
Yeah, I kind of agree with him in that. If it was just a your party only kind of thing, I'd probably dislike it a little more. Although I have played, Guild Wars and Dungeons and Dragons Online are kind of the same way, that you have everything as a private instance.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not. I know there's some people like in your stream yesterday who were like, "Oh, if it's not open world, it's not an MMO." I'm like, yeah. As long as there is at least some semblance of open worldishness, and you got into a largish zone that had a bunch of stuff going on all over, a bunch of different people around. So as long as it's got that kind of large enough zones with random people going around, I feel that that's good enough, for me. I think I prefer a totally open world kind of thing, but I'm not. This isn't something that makes me say, no, I'm never going to play it. This isn't that kind of thing to me.
Now, the plus side of that is, and we saw this during the stream yesterday, Jason, is there doesn't seem to be too many invisible walls. The game will let you jump off of the land that you're on if you want to. It's going to kill you, but it'll let you do it.
I'm surprised when you did that, because I tried doing that when I was somewhere else in the game earlier, or when I was playing, and it wouldn't let me. So
I found the magic sweet spot where if you want to kill your character,
it was on one of the stations or something where I tried to jump over a low rail and it wouldn't let me.
Oh yeah, see, I was on the planet,
yeah,
and jumped off of the rock ledge, and the area we were doing yesterday during the stream was a larger area compared to some of the beginning ones. So I dig the gameplay. I'm okay with it. Yes, I like open worlds, but there's a place for this type of gameplay for me as well. Now the big thing people want to know about is combat, Jason. What do you think about the combat?
Well, what I learned is that I picked a class that is very awkward and isn't very smooth to play, which definitely influenced me. Seeing you play Cryomance was a little different. I played the Gunner, which for those who don't know, it's got kind of a weapon swap mechanic to it. It has, in addition to your mana pool or whatever, you also have something called heat. When you have one weapon, your heat builds up. When it reaches the max, your attacks become less efficient. What you have to do then is you have to switch to the other thing, and the little context button tells you to hit the Q button to switch. When you switch to the other thing, it then uses different attacks that consume heat. And when that goes to 0, you can't use those attacks anymore, and you have to press Q to switch back to the other one. Which might have been okay, except the problem was I got to the point sometimes where I was like, okay, I'm almost full up on heat or I'm almost out of heat. I want to switch. Okay, I hit Q before I get to the full point, and it wouldn't let me. That only works when you got to that. Now, you could use the one button to switch back and forth anytime you wanted, but I got so much in the habit of hitting Q that it kind of bugged me that when I got to that point, didn't have what I wanted. I tried to hit Q, and it wouldn't work, or I'd be out of heat, and I was trying to hit my attacks, and they weren't working. I was like, oh, crap, I got to switch back. It felt really clunky to play the gunner, at least, and that was something that some other people said in chat. So maybe it was just my opinion of that, but because of that, it felt felt rather unsmooth and kind of clunky to deal with.
Now, I didn't play the gunner, but I'm thinking now I might want to go and switch to the gunner and check it out, because Selfius, that sounds exactly like the mechanics, or similar mechanics to my main in Final Fantasy XIV, which is the Black Mage.
You were reading my mind, sir. I was just thinking about that, bouncing between fire and ice, being able to switch between that does sound like that's right up your alley. The whole time Jace was describing that was literally what just popped into my head.
Now the thing is,
there are a lot of
great
minds think alike.
A lot of games. I don't know how 14 works, but I played Guild Wars 2. I've played actually some other games. But anyway, a lot of games do have a weapon swap. Elder Scrolls Online has it as well. But the difference was this was kind of a forced weapon swap. This is like you have to switch when you get to max or no heat. And that's the part that kind of bugs me a little. It's not, oh, now I want to do fire attacks, so I'm going to switch to fire. Oh, now I want to do ice attacks, I'm going to switch to that. So that was the part of it that I think kind of bugged me a little bit.
Yeah, and in Final Fantasy, the Black Mage kind of does that. Yes, there's a point of forced swap, but you can swap anytime you want. If you want to throw 2 fire spells and swap into ice and go ahead and throw some ice, great. It's not going to be effective DPS because that's not the way the class is built, but it sounds very similar in when you use fire spells as a Black Mage in Final Fantasy XIV, you're burning through your mana. You swap to an ice stance, and I'm not using the right names for this because I'm trying to keep it clear for those that don't play Final Fantasy XIV. You swap into an ice stance, and as you're casting ice spells, your mana is regenerating at a faster rate. So your mana is swinging back and forth. So yeah, I might have to check out the gunner. Speaking of fire and ice, I played the Cryomancer an awful lot. And I'm going to play it again. I don't know if I'm going to get to it today. I have an audition to go to, but hopefully I'll get to it tomorrow before the servers shut down. I was digging the Cryomancer, and for some people, this was interesting to me when I thought the melee was boring, and I was talking to a number of viewers via email that had sent me information after the first look that they thought Cryomancer was boring as hell and only preferred the melee. So it felt like, well, hey, then the Alids team and Obsidian Entertainment are kind of doing their job. If these classes feel distinct and different enough that in a week everybody's kind of saying, I don't like this one, I don't like this one, I like this one, I like this one, then it does kind of add spice. Each class is clearly different if people are finding favorites right away. The combat itself, it's kind of a mix between Terra and a tab target, right? I mean, it's got action elements in that you have a crosshair and you have to be aiming it at a certain thing, and you can't just fire off an ability and not be looking anywhere near your target. You can move while doing all of your abilities. There's a dodge mechanic. There are abilities you're not going to be able to dodge, though. So it's not a true dodge, like in Terra, where if you're good, you could literally take things down without getting hit at all, Selfius. It doesn't work like that. You can dodge a lot of things, but then there's specific abilities you're not going to be able to dodge. You're going to get hit. So it's kind of a blend between the two. I never really used the tab targeting, though, at least yet. And I mean, I'm not facing the most challenging things in the game or having to heal myself and heal others at this point. But I gotta say, I was okay with the combat. It didn't blow me away. I didn't find it hugely engaging like I did with Terra the very first time you play Terra. You're like, this is cool. But I didn't have a huge problem with it. I don't know. It was just kind of average for me.
Again, it felt a little awkward to me sometimes having to, because I know you can use F key to lock onto a target. And
right.
I don't know, but it just never felt quite right. Like, it was just a little bit off. Not terrible, but something I couldn't quite get adjusted to. And maybe that's just me trying a new game and something I'd feel more comfortable with after a while. But The feel just seemed off to me.
What'd you think, Selfius?
I'm not going to lie. Had I not known it was called Skyforge and you showed me that video, I would have thought you just showed me an expansion to Terra. That's exactly what the combat looked like to me. The graphics are on par with it.
Oh, I don't think so.
I'm
Oh, no. I got to give Terra the graphical edge over Skyforge.
Okay, all right.
I'm with Chris on this one.
Oh, all right. All right.
Jason, I do have a question for the tab targeting line. I thought that would work better with a gunner. Do you think it would be more advantageous with a gunner, or do you still feel it's still clunky? I mean, did you play other classes?
No, I didn't play any other classes. And it's kind of weird we call it tab targeting. We use an F button, so it's really F targeting, whatever. Someone in my stream said when you want to hit somebody, you F them up, basically. Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know. It just maybe the fact that it was the F button and not the tab. Maybe I should remap my controls and it would feel better to me. Maybe that's what I should do.
Well, it is tab. I think what you're talking about is focus target.
Oh.
Yeah.
I tried to do tab at times too, and I didn't get anything.
Tab will cycle through the targets if you have a select group of, like a group of mobs in front of you and you're looking at one and you can tab and cycle through them.
Oh, okay.
F will focus a target and then you F it up.
So what's the difference between F and tab? If one of them lets you focus your target, focus yourself on a thing.
Well, focus target locks you to that target.
So what does tab do?
Well, tab, I don't know. Whatever.
Select the thing. Select, focus, what's the difference?
Yeah, whatever. Anyway, I found myself using it almost not at all. And I'm sure maybe during some more challenging encounters later you would, for various reasons, because this group's got to go do this while we burn this guy over here. Adventures as a whole, I mean, we don't need to spend a lot of time on it. You could check the first look out for that. If you're familiar with Phantasy Star Online and the way that works, you're going to be familiar with the way Skyforge plays. To me, they were just okay. Again, we're talking about the beginning adventures, though. I'm sure I did like how 2 or 3 adventures in, even if you're by yourself, you're already fighting bosses that have clear-cut mechanics. Mm-hmm. I did like that. They teach you that very early.
That was something we noticed in the videos that I spoke up about. I thought it was cool that it's not just a big massive hit points that does its one special attack you have to dodge or something. They actually have some kind of interesting things going on with their boss mechanics. I wish I would have gotten to see more of them, but you were in that same like jungle area too as me, where it was like I got through. I spent like an hour and a half in there, and I was still only like maybe 2/3 of the way through, and I was just like, all right, I'm tired of this now. I just want to do something a little more interesting. So.
Yeah, and obviously there's a lot of side quests. If you watch the first look or you watch the bomb live from last night when it goes up on YouTube, then you'll see there's lots of side stuff that you can do, and I was doing all of it. For the first look at, but of course you could skip that, and it does show you the average time it takes people to complete this. And you look at those times, and you look at yours at the end, you're like, "Damn, they just ran straight to the finish line, didn't they?" Progression systems. If you're looking about how this you gear up, how you get better, there's no levels. You have prestige, and you gain prestige by equipping better and better and better and better gear. And it ups your stats that way. You can also upgrade gear that you have on you if you don't have an actual new piece of better gear to put on. The Ascension Atlas is primarily your skill tree. Think Final Fantasy X Sphere Grid, and you got the basic idea there. Except there are a couple branch-off points where you do have some choices. Yes, you could eventually get everything anyway, but you can decide what you want to get first. And then, of course, one thing that I still haven't been able to find a lot of information on, even playing the game, is the whole order and followers system. You know, you're trying to gain orders or followers to build your order and have them build shrines so that you can get different bonuses and things like that. But I'm getting the feeling now that that's buried a little deeper than my.com is ready to show us.
Yeah, I mean, they talk about it a little bit, and one of the god lady you talk to says you need followers to build up your pantheon. Or
yeah, and they have you go talk to a follower very early.
Guy.
Yeah, you have one follower that really likes you.
And again, this is, I don't know, I hate to say it about MMOs in general, but you get so many MMOs where it's like, what do you do in all of them? You go, you kill stuff, you kill 10 this, kill 10 that, you go back, you get your reward, you go back and forth, you do that. Show me the cool thing in your game a little earlier than that. If that is a really cool part of it, I'd like to see more of it in my first, 3 hours than the one guy.
Yeah.
But instead, we're going to send him back down to the planet, go kill stuff for a while. And I'm going to keep trying it probably at some point when it gets to a further point and not have to worry about wipes. But over the first 3 hours, it just seems more or less like the game is like most other games. It'd be neat if they actually showed us the cool thing.
Selfius, what'd you think of the voiceovers?
Oh, I thought I was watching a kung fu movie. I mean, between the rough voice acting and the I don't know what's going on, but it was rough. The few that I did sit through your gameplay, I just was like, well, maybe the audio's not sunk properly during the shooting of this. And I was like, then I'm watching it, and I'm like, no, I'm watching the subtitles at the bottom, and it's rough. It's rough.
Yeah, and some commenters gave me flack for leaving the voices on for those, but after I played those, I was like, I have to leave these voices on. These are just very, very bad. And if I just leave this as subtitled and then I start commenting about the voice acting being bad, you're not going to understand why if you're just watching the first look. So I apologize if it bugged some people that I left the voices on. I had to. I had to.
And then there was the one lady who still talked in Russian.
Yes. Yes.
Which sounded great. She actually sounded really good.
Yeah, she did.
This really cold-hearted woman. It was like, wow, jeez.
I like the head god lady that's helping you out, who looks like in her facial model, she looks like she's like 65, and then in her body, she looks like she's 23.
Well, she turns a little bit, and the boobs just go.
I know. It's like, well, you should probably put some shading or some aging on her torso skin or something, because this looks really weird. Overall, and I know this is just a 1-week closed beta, so we're only making impressions based on that. A lot can change by the time the game comes out, and a lot might change. But overall, is it the type of game, Selfius, you could see yourself logging into every day? Is it the type of game you could see yourself logging into, every Wednesday night with Jason and me and a couple of the guys, and that's what we do every Wednesday night? Or is this just one that I'm going to play it for a little bit, and when I'm bored with it, I'm done?
If there's no upkeep for your followers and such, since we're only speculating and we didn't get to see too much, I think it's going to be one of those pick up and put down games where it'll probably be once a week, or maybe I'll shoot off a week or a weekend or two once a month, where it's just like, okay, I feel like I progressed enough, and I feel I accomplished something, and I'm going to move on to something else.
What about you, Jason?
I think it's something I'm going to look into more. It hasn't turned me off like Terra, something like that. Me and Terra, we don't get along. But yeah, I mean, it's something that looks kind of interesting, and I'll be interested to see what some of the other stuff is. Again, just knowing that those good boss mechanics out there are something that'll help keep me in a little bit, keep me wanting to strive to see how those go. And yeah, seeing how the follower system, and later they talk about responding with groups of immortals to crisis points all over the world. That sounds kind of interesting too. So I want to see how they approach that kind of later game stuff. Yeah, the early game is kind of meh for me right now, but it's not a kind of game where I'm just totally like, yeah, screw it. The first few hours are boring. I'm going to move on. No, I'll keep at least some sort of look at it.
I'm still interested in it. I'm kind of in your camp, Jason. I'm still interested in it. I want to see what they're going to do with certain things that I just can't get my hands on yet. And, we got to deal with that. It's closed beta. It's actually testing, whatever. There's nothing there that makes me go, this is not the game for me. But by the same token, there's not anything there that's going, wow, I am really, really enjoying this, and I really want to play this more. I really just, you know what, when I get home from work tomorrow, I'm going to play this for another 6 hours. So I'm kind of in the middle, just, yep, it's a closed beta. Nothing turned me off, nothing turned me on. Let's go to the next closed beta and see what happens. All right, we've got some other news to talk about, but damn, we talked about Skyforge, so let's keep this stuff quick here. Let's go and talk about some Everquest. That's right, not Everquest Next. The original EQ turned 16 and introduced player-designed missions. What the hell were these, Jason?
Well, yeah, I should have researched that a little more, shouldn't I?
Didn't you write the article?
It was late on Friday. I think I just kind of copy-pasted it.
Oh,
But yeah, apparently they do some sort of player design missions, as it says right there. You know, they have a new loot system in as well to help. System releasing soon, very soon. Thanks to everyone who helped with the player design missions and provided feedback. Again, EverQuest, you know, it's. I'm a little surprised to see they have player design missions. To be perfectly honest, for something that old.
And it's going for quite some time too. I mean, this started on February 25th, and they've got it slated going all the way through April 29th, with 6 weeks of different anniversary and Fable stuff at the end. Brew Day, Bristlebane Day, Stomples Day. So they've got an awful lot going on. Heroic adventure changes. I think you talked about those.
Right. Just another thing they're going to do. You'll get full experience. You'll get experience bonuses applied to experience with those heroic adventures, and more XP for your mercenaries when you complete the level.
Kind of smacks of. Now we're going to have the players create EverQuest as well. To me, and it's kind of what they're doing with Landmark and EQ next. So Columbus Nova, I guess, is like all about having just the players work and design all.
No, I mean this isn't a brand new thing. I mean it's been around for a while. I mean it's the fact that it's not Columbus Nova, because everything that's terrible about their games isn't them. But
oh sure,
yeah,
it
I mean,
is.
that's been
They bought them and it's all gone to hell.
Yeah, basically. Well, we're gonna get to that in a minute.
When was the last time? Seriously though, when was the last time any of us on this panel played EverQuest? By choice, the original EverQuest. The last time I played it, it's the footage that you're watching right now. I did a gameplay action video on it, just kind of I think it was an anniversary. Well, no, it couldn't have been an anniversary because it was November. I had just come back to MMO Bomb when I did it. And honestly, I couldn't tell you when I had played it before that, but it's 16 years. Good grief.
You know my dirty secret? I have never played EverQuest.
Never.
Never.
Wow.
Someday I'm waiting for the right moment.
It's like a courting relationship between you and EverQuest. You kind of circle each other, take each other out to dinner, but you never quite seal the deal.
After I went free to play, I tried EverQuest 2 for a little bit just to jump into it and see what it was like. But
Selfius, you and I used to play EQ2 quite a bit, but I don't know. Did you ever play EverQuest?
The original, it's been a while. It hasn't been 16 years since it came. I mean, since the last time I played it, but it's been a while. It's definitely been a while.
So I think it's fair to say, though, that all three of us are familiar with the EverQuest IP, and all three of us are looking forward to what EverQuest Next could potentially bring to the MMO table. But then, every single time we hear EQN news right now, it's, let's say, questionable at best. Questionable. So the latest is that EverQuest Next, and this is reported by Massively OP, Massively Overpowered, is ditching the whole lore and general discussion forums. Now, they did follow up and say that the lore threads are being moved to news and announcements. They're not totally gone, but the general discussion forums? What?
That's just weird. I don't know why you'd remove that for any game.
Now, the official announcement said you should still be able to start threads in the workshop over on EQN. If not, let us know. There isn't a general gameplay discussion forum right now because, well, on EQN there is no general gameplay.
Sure, but
which is a sentence that makes sense, but yeah, exactly. People still want to talk about it. Reddit is an open discussion forum. Oh, God. If you want to use it. We'll still be checking posting on the workshop, and we'll likely be adding discussions to news and announcements as we have more to share as well. The EQN forums will grow as we get closer to players actually being able to touch the game. As for Landmark, we've made all the changes we have planned structure-wise. The maintenance will take place tomorrow, and then we should be set here. We did link to the Landmark Reddit here, too, if people are interested in. Didn't Smite try this a while ago? Where they destroyed their forums and sent all their forums to Reddit, and then months later just ended up bringing their forums back up.
Yeah, SOE or Daybreak or whatever, they have been so in love with Reddit, you know, much more than almost any other company I recognize. So.
All right, let me ask you this, Selfius. It's time to put it out there. Are we ever going to see EverQuest Next?
Probably not. Not at this rate. Too many question marks. Every time I look at that, I just see a big question mark.
I mean, this forum thing's relatively small in the grand scheme of things, but then you have the acquisition of Columbus Nova and a lot of big, long-time EverQuest leadership being sent packing. Then the ditching of Storybricks, which was instrumental in EQN's AI design and everything. What's that mean long-term, Jason? Are we going to get our hands on this? And when we do, if we do, is it going to be nothing but a prettier Minecraft at that point?
I think that's a little overreacting to say we're never going to see it. Now, I think we will, and I think it's probably going to be maybe a little later than we'd all hoped because of all the changes you're talking about and so on and so forth. But to say it's not going to happen at all, I think, is a little bit too much. I think they've got too much invested in it, and not only from a financial standpoint, but just from a, I guess, a goodwill standpoint. It's almost like the closing of the forum itself, just with everything else that's been going on in the last month or so, it seems like just kind of a bad PR move to do anything that kind of tweaks fans in the wrong direction. This would be that times a million. To have EverQuest Next, all the development you've had on it, all the people you've been talking about it, and this and that and the other thing, and then to not do it, they just close the company. Because at that point, nobody's going to believe anything they say ever again.
Well, let me ask you this. You said they've got too much invested at this point. I would ask the question, do they? I mean, certainly they have a lot invested in Landmark.
Even if you're not talking about a financial standpoint, I'm saying from the emotional and from the fan type of standpoint. If you've announced the next big chapter in EverQuest and now you don't deliver on it, your word is broken.
Oh yeah, I can see what you're talking about there. I don't know. I think if we see this, I'm revising previous predictions based on everything that's happened in the last 30 days. There's no way we play this in 2015 now.
No.
I thought there was a chance we could. Prior to the Columbus Nova acquisition, the layoffs, the Storybricks, simply because Landmark played such a big part in what was being designed for EQN. But no, I don't think there's any way we play this in 2015 now. And I'm not so sure about 2016 anymore.
I could see something in 2016, like early access about on par with how final or how polished Landmark's early access was, which is to say not very.
You think it's totally gone, though, Selfius? This is dead in the water at some point? We just haven't heard?
It's vaporware. Maybe we'll see it at EverQuest 20th. Maybe we'll see it at EverQuest 20th birthday.
Oh, all right. Last thing, Blizzard, our friends at What the hell? Why? Like, there's not additional light in my house right now, but all of a sudden my camera is exceptionally bright. Blizzard is launching a Heroes of the Dorm competition. I kind of dig this tournament. Unlike, the Dota Invitational and the League of Legends Championship Series, Blizzard has launched Heroes of the Dorm competition for aspiring college students and Heroes of the Storm players with up to $500,000 worth of prizes. The winning team members will win tuition for their entire college careers. Tell me I don't win that tournament, and automatically I'm becoming a doctor. With additional prizes, including an epic gaming system for the top 4 teams, Battle.net gift cards, and automatic access to the Heroes of the Storm beta for all participants. Well, isn't that nice of them? Thanks for coming to our tournament. You can play in beta. Here you go.
That's another great idea, though. It's like, oh, man, I think I might want to try this tournament, but I haven't ever played the game.
Right. Registration is open until March 26th, and then the qualifiers will start shortly after that into mid-April. And it's actually going to be, get this, on ESPN.
That blew my mind.
It's a sport, officially. We've seen
now, is it going to be at
sports.
3 a.m. on a Saturday morning, though?
Maybe EQN's going to be a MOBA now.
Maybe it's on ESPN 4 or something, too, and they haven't... I don't even know if there's an ESPN 4.
The Ocho. EQN's a MOBA. You heard it here first. I dig the tournament. I think it's kind of cool that it's not just a generic tournament. And that's not to say that there's something wrong with those, but I like that this is kind of more focused, and here's what you can use the prizes for. I kind of dig it. I don't know.
The only thing I'll say, and this is something I thought about. I thought about this over the weekend when H1Z1 was doing a Battle Royale Spectacular or something like that. I was like, okay, if you're really saying early access is about, or betas or whatever, about testing and not about generating sales and whatever, why are you doing promotions? I'm just saying.
You're such a cynic.
It's just the part that bugs me a little bit.
Such a cynic. All right, let's slide over and do the bombs. We're running a little long today. Selfius, it's good to have you back, sir. Why don't you go first?
Sir, I know it's cheesy, but I got to throw out a dub bomb for you, sir, for bringing me back to the show and hopefully many more. Truly excited. I look forward to delving back further into the MMO industry, and hopefully I can contribute a little bit more next week if you have me back, sir. I just sort of feel like I'm in the background of the panel, but I look forward to returning. That is my bomb, sir.
Well, now well, I appreciate it, but now you have your computer up and running, so you are in the thick of it. Start playing this shit again.
Get away from those consoles, man.
Mr. Winter, what about you, sir?
I'm giving a dub bomb to the guys behind Goat Simulator who are trying to get their goat into Dota 2.
That's amazing.
A goat with a jetpack apparently could be the next Dota 2 champion.
I'm going to give an A-bomb to Skyforge voiceovers. I also had loading screens in there, but Jason kind of convinced me now that I think about streaming that the loading screens weren't as bad as when I recorded on the first look. So I'm just going to give it an A-bomb to Skyforge's terrible voiceovers. Terrible voice. Ugh. Scary, terrible voiceovers. 5000 CZ says, why don't we, yeah, fine. 5000 CZ, I have a question. Do you think you guys will ever do a collaboration with the other MMO reviewers like MMO Hut or Free MMO Station? I'm sub to all, and it would be cool to see cameos from the others like James Blonde or something. James Blonde from MMO Hut. And somebody
I killed in Nosgoth.
Right, but also killed you. Somebody asked me this during the stream, so they may be the exact same person yesterday. Yes, we're always totally open to that. If you go and look at like the original free-to-play cast when we very first started, for like the first year or so, we had people from ZAM on, we had people from Gamebreaker on, we had guests from anywhere, as long as they were willing to do it. So yes, on our side, we're totally willing to do stuff like that. And I'm a big fan of James Blonde's work and the other guys and girls that you mentioned as well from Free MMO Station. Big fans of all of them. So yes, we would love to. However, from our side, while I can say yes, I can't say yes from their side, because sometimes people are contractually obliged to not do certain things. So, especially if they're not going to be posted on the site that they work for. So yes, we're totally open to it. Would love to do it. Doesn't mean it will always work out. Selfius, why don't you take the next one?
Sailor Naruto 39 just gives it plain old A-bomb to spiders. I wonder what that's from. A-bomb to spiders.
If you didn't watch last week's show, you just don't know. I kind of pooped myself. Go ahead, Jason.
All right, this is a long one. Comes from Abschus Ramp.
Abschus Rampe.
Abschus Rampe.
It's German. I believe it's German for something like a launching pad or a missile launching pad, something like that.
I can see that. And he calls things bad bombs and good bombs, so I'm going to translate here. All right, it says A-bomb to Skyforge Closed Beta 1. Locking over 80% of the content so it cannot be tested under the pretense of being a stress test. Then gating a free-to-play game behind a paywall for a stress test. Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I mean, it's a beta, for one thing. I don't have a problem with them restricting access in any way. And also that most of the game isn't there. Well, again, like you said, MMO players are crazy. There'll be people that max level or whatever, the max skill tree.
Prestige.
Yeah, prestige tree. They'd be done with the game already. So I don't have a problem with them restricting stuff for their first ever, like North American beta. Moving on, extremely bad nuclear A-bomb to Blizzard's competitiveness. I read the entire thread about the Lotro bashing, and one specific thing was said. This is in relation to the Lotro, the dev going off about all the things that went wrong. One specific thing was said. WoW updates kept coming right when Lotro was updating. I see the exact same trend happening right now with Diablo 3 and Path of Exile, putting me before the decision of which games to enjoy when I love both. I love some of the games Blizzard puts out, but I seriously wish the people doing this cutthroat marketing bullshit would burn alive.
Wow. That's brutal. I mean, that's just business, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know. All right, A-bomb, or good, dub-bomb to Cities Skylines, built upon the corpse that is the last SimCity, and done better in every aspect. Thank you, Paradox Interactive, for showing EA the middle finger, making them close Maxis a mere 2 days after launch. I've heard really good things about Cities. I watched a few streams.
Now, did they close Maxis? I thought it was just one of the studios that Maxis happened to work out.
Yeah,
one
Maxis
of the locations.
West or whatever it was. Yeah.
Yeah.
A-Bomb, I know this is old news, but I didn't rage about it yet. What was Ubisoft thinking, making 2 different Assassin's Creeds at once? No wonder Unity was a genuine stillbirth.
Jeez.
I've lost track of all the different Assassin's Creeds and this and that, and Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed 4.56, 3.14, whatever. Yeah. A-Bomb, again, another one. A-Bomb, I know this is old news, but I didn't talk about it yet. Microsoft bought Minecraft for over $2 billion and said they were expecting to make that back by the end of 2015. I shudder when I think how they want to do that. Are they going to blend in ads while people are playing, specifically for the streamer crowd? Of course not, but what are they thinking? Yes, let's always think the worst.
That is a lot of bombs. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. If you want to comment with a bunch of bombs like that, go for it. We'll be happy to put them in the show. Grobin42, is it good for gamers, talking about when devs leave a company and then turn around and post a bunch of stuff on the internet bad-mouthing them or maybe just revealing what things are. Grobin42 says no, and it never is. If I remember correctly... Oh, no, that's not what they're talking about. They're talking about Gigantic being locked to, at some point, Windows 10. Yeah, I apologize. Is that good for gamers? No, and it never is. If I remember correctly, one of the Halo games and Just Cause 2 were locked into Windows Vista way back when, and just like this one, it was the obvious Microsoft promoting their new operating system. And even though I loved Just Cause, I simply skipped Vista, and to this date, I've yet to play the second game. I don't remember. I don't remember if those were locked.
Yeah, I can remember that I still haven't played Mass Effect 3 because I didn't feel like dealing with Origin. So.
Ah, yes. Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Selfius.
Okay, V2099 says, I'd like to give a new bomb, an LOL bomb. I'm going to have to bring this one. To Bungie and Destiny for the negligence of the loot cave. This just reminds me of older games I played like Cabal Online and MapleStory where players have kill steal wars. Ah, the memories.
What are you thinking about Destiny? I know you were into that for a while. Has the luster worn away?
It has, and Bungie is taking a thrashing on their forums about how upset these people are, talking about this is supposed to be an X amount of years that they were supposed to put this game out over, and then most of us ran to endgame within the first 4 days of playing it. Now, when I say 4 days of playing it, I'm talking about like picking it up for a couple hours, playing it. If you sat down and played it straight through, you could complete the game in about a day and a half. And their expansion packs are just coming too slowly. The loot cave that they're mentioning, it was an easy way for you to level up and just absolutely just cash grab drops. It was ridiculous. I don't know how many engrams I had picked up during the loot cave when people had first shown it. Bungie has hurt themselves dramatically over this game. I'm hoping that they recoup and they make what they promised to all of us. Between the videos they had shown originally, they put out a game that they showed, or they didn't put out the game they showed, and now everyone's upset about it and not happy at all. I pick it up every once in a while, but it's not something I play religiously anymore.
Question of the week last week. As a gamer, is it cool when devs speak out against their companies, or does it rub you the wrong way? Why or why not? Mega17 says, for question of the week, I'm torn on the issue of developers speaking out against their companies. On one hand, it's important for the staff to present a unified front and allow public relations to do their job without any slip-of-the-tongue opinions undermining sincere efforts to maintain fair and peaceful dialogue with their customer or their consumers. On the other hand, the modern trend I see of developers basically being NDA'd 24/7 hinders a lot of companies from recognizing whether or not their project directing decisions hold up under scrutiny. Game companies aren't supposed to be democracies, but lately, when I see something on the precipice of phenomenal, there's often a nagging feeling the concept is being held back because someone argued to derail the original goal for something more half-hearted under the pretense of efficiency. I don't know whether this justifies people speaking out against their companies, while employed or otherwise, but I do see it as a sign that the system of corporate transparency is imperfect and needs refinement. Holy hell.
That's a pretty good, well-reasoned argument.
No kidding.
Yeah.
It's one of the best I've ever seen in our comments.
Mega 17, kudos, brother or sister. You summed
You
it
get a
up
gold star.
in 5 sentences better than I ever could have. Go ahead, Selfius.
All right, this is from Frowms, and it's the question of the week. I like it when they do as long as it is not some tantrum. I understand how things are meant to work in a corporate environment, but not often, and not the lack of clarity or transparency with the community ends up killing a game as lies end up crumbling. I understand that sometimes the echo box effects can give a developer the wrong assessment, but with time, they'll get the hang of sorting out what is actually being done right, wrong, and what is just a small-minded crowd echoing because internet. Just to clarify, not saying post a tweet or make a blog with every move. That is just mental and won't help at all. All I'm saying is be honest about what is going on with your product, and you'll get the proper feedback. Sounds fair.
We have some smart viewers. We have some really, really smart viewers.
We have two of them.
Oh, my.
No, I love all of you.
Jeez.
Gang, you guys are awesome. Make sure you put in the comments your dub bomb for something good this week, A bomb for something bad, and I'm going to give you the question of the week this week. If you were excited for Skyforge, now that you've either played it or had access to footage of the game itself, are you still excited? Why or why not? If you weren't excited at all, has anything changed for you now that you've seen some more about the game? We'll get to your answers on that question next week. Make sure you put them in the comments below. Selfius, it is great to have you back. Now that you're back up and running, play some games, and we would definitely love to have you back. You know I miss you. Where can everybody follow you, sir?
They can find me over at the Twitter is at @TheRealSelfius. And I just before we started videotaping this, I just threw out a small tweet. All it said was, "Guess who's back?"
Mr. Winter, where can everybody find you?
Find me on the Twitter at WinterInformal, streaming twitch.tv/JasonWinter, blogging jasonwinter.wordpress.com.
I'm Mike Byrne, a.k.a. Magic Man. You can follow me on Twitter at MagicMan1, MAGICKMANN1. Of course, you can come over and pay us a visit at MMOBomb.com, read all the news, editorials, giveaways, and fun stuff we post there on a daily basis, not to mention any of the videos, first looks, free-to-play cast, bombs, lives. There's a lot going on. Come on over. Stay safe. We'll see you on the servers.